When it comes to projection, the Scots are definitely the best at it. I don't know, maybe somewhere between the Scots and Martell. But before I get into the subject, I just want to say, hey, what is good, cousin? Shout out to all my unit cousins who are up in here, liking the video, sharing the video. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a good time here. So, this video is going to be short because the topic has already been covered. I just wanted to add some visual representation. So, you guys might remember in what was it? Houston. Houston, we have a Kiki. Houston, we have a problem. Houston, here comes the problem. All these last episodes, and on some of this, Tisha has been like, "Oh well, Nail, you didn't know, but Mel knew, and it feels like a betrayal. And I just feel like I was blindsided and blindsided and blindsided." Exhibit A. You felt betrayed, and low key, come to find out, Mel had almost nothing to do with Kiki showing up. Mel hadn't talked to Kiki in so long and did not confirm with Nell, with Linnell Fletcher, whether or not Kiki was coming. So of course Mel didn't know, but you wanted to blame Mel. You really wanted to blame Mel because you need Mel to be a pig and get in the dirt with you. You need her to because you really can't justify what you, Letitia, have done to Mel unless she some way, somehow does the same thing to you. And that's why you project. You want to nail Mel on anything. You felt ambushed. Do you mean like how you tried to ambush Melody on 4 different occasions with Carson Blue? And by the way, if you don't know the backstory, Carson Blue, the lady with the dark hair and the pink hat. So in this photo, you have Mel in the blue, you have Nell or Linnell Fletcher, excuse me, Lernell Fletcher in the white hat, and you have Carson Blue in the pink. So Carson Blue was doing Letitia's hair for the show, and it's the best Letitia's hair has ever looked. Carson, shout out to you. You do your job well. So Carson goes to Letitia and says, "Look, I've been hanging out with this Ariane Curry, with this girl who is Marta Holt's mistress, and she wants to commit revenge on against Melody. And she has the photos and she wants to know what she should do. And because of that, I cut her off because how would you as a woman even consider this, right?" This is Carson Blue. I'm summing up what Carson Blue said. So she's telling this to Letitia, and Letitia tells Carson to mind her business. She doesn't say, "Oh, you should go tell Mel." She says, "Stay out of it, mind your business." She unveils the entire plot to Letitia. And Letitia says, "Stay out of it, mind your business." But what Letitia does do instead is she invites Carson to the tea party. Now, check the seating arrangement. Look at how close Carson is to Mel. Carson is one whole church hat away from Mel. She is dang near, you would swear, like, I thought she might have been family. I thought when I first saw her, I was like, maybe that's Nell's daughter because why is she so damn close? Why ain't she somewhere at the end of the table like Stormy and her mama? But puts her right up in her face. And the whole time Letitia's going smirky, smirky, smirk. And we don't know why. We think maybe it's because Betty Steele is trying to put Melody in her place, which by the way, Mel handled that entire situation with grace. She sat there, she allowed a woman to confront her over something she did not even do, right? And the problem was that she didn't do anything, actually. That was Betty's big problem. Well, they said Stormy recorded you in her house and you could have chimed in at any point. And Mel was like, people are always saying stuff online about me and I don't chime in. So how much less would I chime in about you or her or your kid? I'm always, every day, Mel is being called something that she isn't. And she doesn't even come out and defend herself. She doesn't. Every now and then she might clarify something, but Mel lets people say stuff about her all day, every day. And you don't need to do nothing but go on YouTube and look at the thousands of videos that have been made by mellow haters The opposite of millimeters, that Mel ain't God and Mel ain't perfect and Mel ain't and Mel ain't and Mel ain't right. She ain't, but she's everything you're not though. And that's why you're mad. Because like I said in another video, once people's argument against you is you ain't God, that's how you know you won. That's how you know that you've stayed above reproach and you've done the right thing in damn near every situation. If that somebody's only complaining about you, because what people should be saying is you're raggedy, low down, no count, two timing, double minded, hypocritical. What like there are tons of ways to insult people when they are horrible people. But when you can't put your finger on it, well, she ain't innocent. Well, she ain't God. If you're trying to distinguish her from God, she must be pretty close, eh? eh? Okay, but getting back to the subject. So, Letitia, I feel blindsided and betrayed. Imagine knowing, imagine knowing from your hairstylist that Mel's ex-husband and his mistress are plotting revenge porn on her, and you stay silent. And instead, you bring the person who told you, hoping that person has a moment and humiliates Mel in front of everybody. And that didn't work, right? Betty Steele took over that scene. Imagine then, after that, bringing that same person to your expo. If you go back and watch the expo when it finally happened, when they executed the expo, Karsten Blue gets up and asks a question no one but Tiffany can answer. Tiffany and Mel are probably the only person who could have answered her question about venture capital, and they were in the audience not being utilized. Letitia screwed herself out of having Melody support her. And her and Kimmy wanted to joke about, I've been knowing Tiffany all these years and I still don't know what she does. Okay. Okay. But when it comes to venture capital, she's the only person who could have answered that. Y'all sat up there looking foolish. Maurice basically said, I had no money. Kimmy funded me. That's basically how that went. Now, it didn't work out at the tea party. It didn't work out at the expo Tisha wanted Mel to come to so bad. So, Mel showed up, she did her smile and wave like a Madagascar penguin, at the Dagon at expo and got out of there. And then Mel, what's her name? Letitia Scott gives Carson Blue another opportunity to show up and ambush Mel at the party in the pasture. Party in the pasture. Who do you think gave her the invite? Who do you think knew she would be there? Who do you think knew she would be there and knew what she knew? Letitia Scott. And at no point did she go to Mel and say anything about your husband, your ex-husband and his mistress are trying to commit a felony against you. And it's one of actual basalt. Now, those aren't the words, but we have to be very gentle with this YouTube algorithm because if you say triggering words and traumatic words that the algorithm doesn't like, it just kind of shadow bans your channel. And that means it just kind of pushes it to the back into the shadows where nobody will find it unless they're looking for it. So we don't want that. So I'm jacking up words, but hopefully you catch my drift. Now that doesn't work. There's no moment there. So, of course, Martell's wine launch, the finale. Well, where's Mel? Is Mel coming? Here are the ladies of Huntsville, but there's no Mel. Is Mel coming? And they wanted to know so damn bad. And I don't know about you, but I personally don't believe Letitia kept that from Kimmy. I don't believe it. I think both Letitia, we're talking about Letitia here, but as a side note, I believe both Letitia and Kimmy knew about the plot, not just from Carson Blue, but from the pictures Martell was passing around the group. From the video Martell was passing around the group. Remember when Marceau Scott said, well, we got somebody's mama on video? As in uncovered, indisposed, in an intimate situation when they were trying to accuse Mama Van of the same thing? When they were trying to I can't even wrap my mind around that. You got to be a low person. You got to be a low person to nah. I already did that in a video. I'm not gonna go there again. That's a dark place to go. It's a dark place to go to when you try to slut shame someone's elderly mom. That's a dark place to go to. And not only it'd be one thing if there was slut shaming and there was proof of the shaming, but I'm just like, there's just nothing. There's just nothing. And just because she humbled herself enough to deal with the likes of you, she's being punished. This is why some people are truly uppity. This is why some people are truly highfalutin. I won't sit with them. I won't eat with them. I won't talk with them because sometimes you're humble and you're in your good Christian spirit and you want to sit among the trifling and the lostitute and the destitute and whatever else. And then you get up with fleas after laying down with dogs. This is why some people they just won't mix. I'm not too hard on upper echelon Negroes who just don't want to mix with certain people among our population because I'm just like, look at Mama Van mixing with the Scots and doing incredible business for Scult and really putting Scult, whatever it was, on the map. And this is how they turn around and repay her. Talking about her like she's like she's some sexy slut rapper tooting that thing up in the air and what? This is somebody's whole mama, whole grandmama, whole first lady, former first lady. What are you doing? When you can get to talking about a person like that, like leave folk grandma alone. Anyhow, this video is not supposed to be long. It was supposed to be 5 minutes, and I'm already into 11. All I wanted to say to you is that Letitia was projecting onto Mel, when in fact, she is the one who tried to ambush and blindside Mel on several different occasions. And when I say blind, I mean Mel was truly blind until Carson, which is good on Carson, Carson reached out to her and said, look, this is what's going on. And yeah, I got some feelings about Carson taking so long and sitting on it for so long. But at the end of the day, Letitia did not get what she wanted, and she wanted a moment of pure humiliation for Mel, and it was so delicious to her. It was so delectable to her. You can see her in scene after scene every time Carson shows up. Every time she invites this woman onto the set, you can see her just skinning and grinning like a Pillsbury Doughboy being poked, like she just reveled in it. And I know she told Kimmy, and Kimmy did nothing. And that's why Kimmy, nobody talked about you and your answer with a C. Nobody talked about you and your chemo. And I don't know why you're making up stuff online. People who didn't even like you from panel to panel for months. I listened to people say, I'm gonna leave her alone because she's going through chemo and radiation, and I wish her all the best. I listened to person after person refuse to hold you accountable because you were sick. And the only person we caught wind of making fun of you and the fact that you lost your hair was your husband. And this is why, you guys, these people are truly unnecessary. These people, I know people want Marcel and Letitia off the show and they say there are too many Scots, there are too many Scots. But Marcel understands the assignment. And there is a story with them that we want to come full circle. Basically, Letitia's nanny boo boo. I'm still a wife, you not. My husband's faithful, yours is not. We're better than you. We've been married longer than you. Nanny boo boo. Aha, your husband this and my husband never. And Mel, you're a liar and you're a liar and you're this immoral woman who cheated. Like we want that to come full circle. I don't care what anybody says. It's not that we want the Scots to be divorced. It's that we knew Tisha was full of ish and we want that reality to flourish. We want to see some blossoming, we want to see the fruit of that tree blossom. You planted a tree full of BS when you could have just pulled a Kiki. You could have just pulled a Kiki. When Letitia sat there and was like on that reunion, it's like, yeah, well, she cheated on her husband and her husband cheated on her. Here goes Kiki. And your point is, I mean, just grown woman style. You didn't even have to get gully with it like Kiki. You could have just been like, yeah, we've been through that. The Fletchers, when you asked them at the table like an idiot. When you asked them at the table because you know it's in Marceau's contract not to have to answer about infidelity, allegedly. Have you guys ever experienced infidelity in your marriage? And they're like, yeah, we have. I mean, by the time you get to the 10, 15-year mark, there's probably going to be something. There's probably going to be something. on one side, the other, or both. And I have an unpopular opinion. It doesn't necessarily mean the person doesn't love you. That's why some people can work it out and some people can't. Sometimes there's a lack of love and there's only duty that exists between these people in their holy matrimony. Like what it looks like Marceau has going on with you. So no, I want her I absolutely want her face buried in that. I don't want them to leave each other. I want them to stay together, whatever. But I absolutely want her face buried in the things that she did to Mel and the things that she is guilty of and the things that have all these nasty things that she ascribed to Mel. Especially we've never seen Mel lie about anything. But how many times you're lying on my husband and you're a liar and you're a liar and you cheated on your husband and she drags everybody by that. Low key, we got a snow bunny that is following Marceau from job to job, from Monaco to Skolt, and it's like, okay. Well, Kiki said on Facebook that yeah. So anyhow, I know people want them off the show because there's too many Scots. I think the best thing to do is to give the Scots a season. So or to exchange them interchangeably season after season. One season we have with Scott 1.0, then the next season they're off, and then that season that they're off, we have Scott 2.0. I think that's the best way to do it and keep everybody. But having them all there on the show at all times, the four of them, they're always a unit. They're always going to form this brick wall of protection around themselves, and they bully everybody else. All it is the pick on Mel show, or it's the pick on Kiki show, or it's the isolate Linnell Fletcher show. It's never fair so long as you have that block of four people. It's never fair. It's almost impossible to hold Letitia accountable when Kimmy wants to jump in and stretch her neck out, brontosaurus style, and fight for Letitia. It's almost impossible to hold Martell accountable when Letitia and Kimmy, they want to both, oh, Mel, you shouldn't play that song right now. Well, he's upset and maybe you should. And they're always on her. It's always so many against one. And for me, that's a peeve. That peeves me to see 2-on-1 or to see a pile up on one person. It really, truly bothers me. It's because it's really and truly unfair. And these people always have like they win because of the numbers, but I'm just like, you're not winning because you're righteousness. You're not winning because you're in the right at all. It's because you have numbers that you can make people look stupid. It's because you have numbers that Martell will go and have to apologize to MJ. But when you guys just calling Sugar Mama an illegitimate bastard, nobody had to go and apologize to her. Huh? We get to make Tiffany cry behind Monster, but nobody has to cry about how they treated Sugar Mama. Nobody has been made to feel contrite the way Tiffany was, damn near red in the face, red eyes, red face, crying in the middle of black. While Kimmy, Kiowa, Tisha, the whole black got on her about it. You just run full blitz on people. You just outnumber them and steamroll them. And it's not a real show. It's not a real show when nobody has to be accountable because all you have to do is these four people are a unit. And whoever they support wins. And that's a nasty dynamic. Anyway, I think if they were to get rid of somebody permanently from the Scots, Kimmy and her libido are so unnecessary. Yes, you had a story to tell. You told your story and it has come to conclusion, girl. You had Cancer, Scorpio, Libra, Cancer. And I don't know if you can say that word by itself. So that's why I'm invoking the zodiac by saying Cancer, Libra, Scorpio. You had a little water sign going on, girl, and you got rid of it. End of story. You went through your water sign, your Cancer, Aquarius, Pisces, whatever. What are the water signs? What are the water signs? I only know the earth signs and the fire signs. I mix up the air and the water signs. Anyhow, you went through your Cancer, Scorpio, and people ended up getting checked. Okay, a bunch of women who watched the show went out and got their mammograms, and they, do I got a lump here or there? End of story. You told your story. Leave. Because if for 2 seasons I have to hear about your libido, that means you already told your story. Leave. Clueless as Letitia is, she has more to talk about than you do. People don't, they won't even call you by your name. It's not Kimmy, it's Cummy. It's Kimmy Libido Scott. Like it just all things about your insides and what is or is not going in them. Now that you've beat the zodiac sign, now that you've beat the Cancer, Scorpio, Aries, now that you beat the Taurus. Comment and let me know if you know what I mean in the comment section when I keep saying all these things. I'm just trying to talk about her diagnosis that caused chemo and radiation. Anyhow, these people are fully unnecessary. These people are solid as a rock. Stormy, honestly, I think that the crowd could take you back via Courtney. I mean, Courtney is adorable in the way that he loves you. And most of the women who love the show love the way that he loves you. And that's another thing. All black women ain't haters and bitter and out here lonely and whatever. We love love. And there were silly content creators talking about, oh, this is a group of content creators and a group of women who hate men. No, we hate men who mistreat women. Don't nobody got a problem with Courtney. Our only problem with Courtney was when he ran up and he said whatever he said to Miss Black Titanic and it wasn't cool. Well, yeah, we still want an apology for that. We're always gonna want an apology for that. But kudos to you for how you love your wife. And we love to see it. Okay. Y'all are the safest couple on the show. The safest, solid as a rock. And I know some people are gonna ask me, well, what about the Fletchers? And I'm just gonna say I said what I said. Okay. I'm just gonna say I said what I said. Now, when it comes to Kiki, there's something going on here that it's like this, Kiki. You're sitting at the table next to Carson, next to Nell, who's next to Mel, and you're listening to this conversation with Betty and Mel about how Mel did not intervene as much as Betty would have liked for her to when she said the thing about somebody was recording me in my house. Everybody assumed it was Stormy, but not only did Mel say it was never Stormy, we know it has something to do with Martell and his hacker things and all the things that Ariane got on the internet and talking about how ooh, I wouldn't mess with Martell, blah blah blah. Yeah, he had somebody hack Mel's phone in reverse to the point where all his calls were going to her phone. You remember that, right? But you see how Betty was so upset because Betty was like, at any time, Mel, you could have came out and said something, and Mel was like, that's not really my way. Like that's not really how I roll. And then Betty came back with, yeah, and I don't like how you do things. I don't like how you go about stuff. And she's like, well, I'm sorry if that offended you, but I people are talking about me every day and I don't get involved in that. If I was going to come out and fight every fight, like I would never be able to film. It would just be me and my phone all day every day fighting everybody who had something ridiculous to say. And when it's too ridiculous, Mel just kind of ignores it. Even when it's not too ridiculous. If there's a she I already said this. I'm not going to repeat myself. Listen, she's ignored a lot, okay? And I think Betty was expecting more from Mel. I think she was expecting more from Mel's power and for her to wave some magic wand that gets people off of Stormy's back. Whole time Stormy does not like her and is dissing her. And it's like, I don't got to do that. I don't have to do that. Matter of fact, I'm over here dealing with myself. I'm over here dealing with Revenge P. I'm over here dealing with my ex-husband trying to take my kids from me. And you want me to come online and tell somebody, she didn't do it? Bro, I'm in court in the fight of my life trying to keep my kids from this Negro who wants to take child support from me so he can take care of his outside baby. I'm busy. I'm too busy to be out here defending Stormy. Like I understood that. But see, Kiki, you wanted the same thing. And I think you should have learned from this moment at the tea party that Mel don't roll like that. Mel, even when it comes to herself, she chooses silence. Half the time, somebody has something to say about her, she's just quiet. So it's like you want her to speak up for you in this whole, Houston thing. Well, I felt like she was doing too much. No, Mel had to defend herself because that's a group of people who are always ganging up on her. And she wanted to make sure those people were absolutely clear that she had nothing to do with anything that felt like an ambush, anything that felt like a betrayal, betraya in Tisha language. That was where her focus was. And I see, Kiki, you had every reason to feel uncomfortable and to, you had every right to feel a type of way. And actually, your mom had every right to feel a type of way. Now, the actions after that, nah. But your feelings were so damn valid. But at the same time, it's like Mel has already shown you what you can expect from her. Just like you were feeling it. And the same thing happened again, where at the therapy thing with the horses, and maybe you expected something different from Mel. When Mel was trying to keep you from humiliating yourself on TV. But she wasn't about to be you and pull a Kiki and start telling these people off who she knows are wrong. You and Mel know on a very personal level how wrong the Scotts are. You guys know on a very personal level. They have done you both so wrong. But Mel's not gonna go about it the way you would go about it. She's not gonna go about it the way Betty would go about it. That upset Betty, that upset you. But you sat here and you got a 101 in this tea party about how Mel will or will not deal with something. Betty aired out nearly the same complaint as you. Mel, why didn't you do? Mel, why didn't you do? And here's the thing, Kiki. You did the same thing because it then became Kiki, why didn't you do? Right? The whole audience, millimeters were like, Kiki, why didn't you defend Mel? Why did you let this rumor go on for so long? Why are we only hearing after the Houston episode aired when you've already seen it as a cast member? Y'all already been through it. It's like, oh, well, I was just upset about, yeah, but it ruined the season for us because we kept looking for, well, what did Mel do wrong to Kiki in Houston? What did Mel do wrong to Kiki in Houston? We kept looking for it, kept looking for it. Is this the episode? Oh, it didn't happen. Is this the episode? It's like Houston, we have a problem. Houston, we have a Kiki. Houston, here comes a problem. Oh, is it gonna come? Is it gonna like it ravaged the YouTube streets? And we were just like, why didn't you say anything? And I remember the first time you said something. I remember the first time the content creator Anthony Lofty said something about Mel doing you wrong, and would you hold her accountable if she did something wrong? And you were like, no, Mel's my friend. Nothing happened. And then when he came back out and said, I know a cover up when I see one, you let it ride. You let it ride. And here's the deal. I can't necessarily say that you are in the wrong for letting it ride. Now, some people will, but the reason I'm going to say maybe you're not in the. So what I will say is that it's out of character for you to let something ride, because Kiki, you don't let anything ride. You respond to everything. You do not stop talking. You do not stop popping off and responding. So it is out of character for you to let something ride. So because I know I've seen your pattern of behavior, it does come off suspect. But what I was about to say, when I can't be mad at you for letting it ride, because, I'm not Betty. Betty was mad at what is it? Betty was mad at Mel for letting it ride when people thought Stormy recorded a conversation in her house, right? You were mad at Mel for letting, certain things ride. But here you are letting something ride, and you're absolutely defensive. And I'm saying, just like you let it ride, don't be mad at Mel for not, hopping up and clapping out her syllables to the Scots because they're all in the wrong. She knows they're all harping on you at the therapy circle. She knows they're wrong. She knows they're ganging up on you. She's hoping you get the good out of it. She's hoping that you can eat the meat and spit out the bones. We know the Scots are bones. And maybe you expected something different from her in that moment. You said you didn't feel supported. But in hindsight, you were like, yeah, I was upset, but that's not even, whatever. That was a conversation for me to have with my friend, and I was upset, but it doesn't mean Mel did anything wrong. And I'm glad you came to that. I'm glad you figured out that Mel didn't do anything wrong, because Betty in the situation never figured out that Mel didn't do anything wrong. She really wanted Mel to come out and defend Stormy, this girl who does not like her, while her and her mom are talking crazy about her on the internet. She wants them to come out and defend. She's like, Mel practices silence. And honestly, when Mel's reputation needed you, you practiced silence. Okay? So everybody did it. I do believe with different intentions. I do. I do. I know that's in character for Mel, and that is out of character for you. And to me, actions are made by their intentions. You can do a good action and intend something bad. You can do a bad action and intend something good. To me, actions are the definition, are defined by their intentions. So let's say I just off somebody because I wanted to know what it feels like to absorb a life. I'm wrong. Let's say I off somebody. I did the same exact thing to save a child who was being intimately abused. That's the right thing. And I don't care what your Bible or what your belief is. You can't tell me nothing. I believe it's the right thing. Okay. So Mel has a habit of going silent when it comes to nonsense. You don't. But when it comes to the actions of everybody being quiet when sometimes there's something in somebody's way, I think, I just think we can flush the toilet on that. Okay. Because in reality, as millimeters, we've got some side eye for Yukiki and we've got some side eye for Nell Fletcher, but Dawn and Mel are telling everybody, these are my friends and I am still cool with these people. So for me, that's enough for me to not forget, but it's enough for me to hop up off yours. People are like, hop off mine, like, get off me, like, why you on me like this? Like, it's enough for me to hop off yours. It's enough for me not to not to drill you about it anymore. Because if Mel is saying, we were real uncomfortable with Nell pairing, Martell and whatever else, and Mel was like, it's production. They asked us to, and we played ball. I took one for the team. So if Mel is willing to let it go, I'm willing to let it go. I still got a little side eye, but I'm willing to let it go because, like I said, I think that the silence comes from two totally different places. We know this is Mel's pattern, and we know this is not your pattern. And part of the reason I think you were upset is because you saw things through your own perspective, and you were probably like, well, if that was you, I would have said something. And sometimes when people don't do what we would have done for them, it makes us feel away. And maybe you decided, well, Mel didn't come out and defend me when I needed her to during the therapy session while the Scots were ganging up on me with the therapist. So I'm not going to come out and defend her. I'm not saying that that was your intention. I'm just saying that to delineate the difference between you and Mel's way. We know you are a person who comes out to correct things. And we know that Mel will sit in silence for a long time. I mean, for a long. Do y'all remember how long Mel let Ariane talk that ish? Do y'all remember how long it took Mel to address Ariane? Meanwhile, Betty still wants Mel to address the audience right away about Stormy not being the one to record her. Kiki wanted her to address the Scots for picking on her right away, wanted to address, the situation with, and I do think Nell was foul for inviting you and uninviting you. I absolutely believe that you were her guest and she dishonored her guest. And you must, just as a way of being, you got to honor your guest. It's already hard enough being a visitor. It's already hard enough, being a guest, being a traveler is difficult. You honor your guest, and she did not honor her guest. So I think with her doing the "you can't be here," whatever, I thought that was a mess. Okay, that was a mess. You had every reason to feel offended and to feel alone. But I think we have established that silence is Mel's way. She will sit on something until she has the right thing to say. Hell, that's where we got God said go. Because she didn't move. This is how we got Melody Rogers from Melody Holt after so long, because she didn't move. She stayed Holt for a while until she got a message that told her, go back. So again, it's just her way. You had the same, it looks like, Kiki, you had the same problem with Mel that Betty was having with Mel. And Mel had to let you guys know that that's just not my way. I understand that you are two confrontational women. You are two knuck if you buck ass women. You are two women who, you guys are quick with the correction. Mel is not. Now, when she do correct, it's thorough, but she's not quick with it. And that is to be understood. Everybody's not the same way. My mom was just telling me about one of the ways that she loves her best friend. And her best friend has certain attributes that my mom doesn't have. My mom has certain attributes that her best friend doesn't have, but because she knows that her best friend has a need for X or Y or Z that she doesn't really need, she's like, all right, I got you, fam. So maybe if they're put in the same situation, they won't act the same, and that's okay because they're different people. It's not always betrayal, but when you know somebody's way and then they act totally different, it's like, nah, bruh. That's not you. Why you stay quiet? Why you stay quiet? Why you ain't say nothing? You always popping off, right? We know Mel is a person who is not always popping off. Kiki, you always popping off. So anyhow, this was not supposed to be this long. The only thing we were supposed to be talking about, the only thing we were supposed to be talking about is Letitia talking about how she feels so ambushed by Linnell and Melody, when in reality, she's the one who did all the betrayal and all the ambushing. I don't care what anybody says. It's absolutely, even if you're on the rocks, even if you're like, oh, we're not friends anymore, blah, blah, blah. I have people I'm not friends with anymore. And if I knew about a revenge corn plot, revenge with a corn with a P, that visuals of an incredibly delicate and intimate nature were out there of them in the act, I would absolutely tell them. I would absolutely warn them. And for you to know and to sit on it and giggle and plot this ambush with Carson over and over and over again until Carson was like, forget you, I'm gonna tell her myself. Mano y mano, just man to man or woman to woman, behind the scenes in private as it should have been done a long time ago. And I'm gonna let it be. You didn't get what you wanted, but the intention is clear. We clearly see what you wanted. That's how you started inviting this girl on the show. And now that she already told Mel, she ain't been back on the show since. So we know what you wanted. You're the person who plots betrayal. You are the person who relishes in blindsiding people. I am Uppity and I am out of here.